Today's video is about preventing, halting, and reversing loss of nature. The topic is from an initiative from the UN. Let's see if I can put it this way. Perfect. It's called the United Nations Decade on Ecosystem Restoration 2021 to 2030. The idea here is that as I teach environmental science this semester, these are topics that I am researching as I go along, and I figured I'd share that with you. If you are new to this channel, my name is Alain Faber. I've been teaching science for the last 25 years, and I am doing videos on this channel for my students, for my audience, and for whoever is interested in the science world. So let's see if we can go from here. So keeping in mind that the UN is always working on making our planet a better place. Often we think of the UN as a way to improve geopolitical situation on our planet. However, they also take care of environment and any ways that our planet needs to be cared for, either for the people, for the food, to take care of waste. So the whole thing of carbon footprint that we are looking into. So here there are three basic topics. The first one is about preventing. We have reached 8 billion people on this planet. That means that we need more and more resources as we go along. So that means that we need to make good choices so that we can prevent the scavenging and the decrease in easily available resources. But on the other hand, we are not being very nice to the planet. So that's something to keep in mind. The second topic is about halting. The whole idea that sometimes it's easier to go in nature and take whatever we want, but we need to stop ways that are not sustainable. So sustainability is something that we will discuss about today, and in my channel, I often discuss. And the next one is about reversing loss of nature. Regardless if you're in the mining industry, the fossil fuel industry, wood for construction or source of energy, deforestation, farming, fishing, there's a lot of things that we do. And what happened is overproduction, no, over harvesting. And everything we do to over harvest, regardless if it's tree, food, fish, and even the human potential, is not good for the long term. So this is what we are doing right here. So there's some principles here. So let's see if we can get some information here. So the principle here is the idea that the restoration needs to happen in ecosystem. And United Nations in 2021 had their United Nations decade from 2021 to 2030. So here the whole idea, so it was a resolution, and from what I read, more than 70 countries, or about 70 countries, got together and decided it was important. And here the idea is that we need a shared vision of ecosystem restoration. Also we need to define the process, as I mentioned before, to halt or reverse degradation. And we need to improve ecosystem services and recovered biodiversity. When we're not too nice with the environment, with our ecosystems, what happens is biodiversity is having issues, and therefore if we can maintain and restore some of those ecosystems, then we can maintain eco services, but also make sure that biodiversity is maintained. It's all part of us being mindful of our environment. So let's see if we can look at the 7 main projects that the UN have been working on. And I know that if you go back to here to see the first slide, and by the way, the links will be in the comments of this video when I edit this video. And here they're always looking for new projects. So here they want people to apply by April 30th. And the whole idea here is that so far they have 7 flagship projects, so big projects that they find interesting, but they want to have by next year 10 of those projects. And the whole idea here is that they're large-scale projects. However, as we go along, I'll mention to you that we can also do something similar, but then at a much smaller size or a much smaller scope. However, if we can act locally, we can actually make changes that we can see in our neighborhood. That is exciting. So let's see. There we go. So here they are. So the UN has recognized at this time 7 world restoration flagships. That doesn't mean that there's no more, there's not any more projects, but the other ones are much smaller, or they feel that these ones are worth mentioning. So if it happens you have a good project, please apply. You might be able to work on these. And here these initiatives came up in February, so that's last month, and I thought it would be something fun to talk about. So let's see if we can look at those 7 projects. The first one is about restoring Mediterranean forests. And here there's a few countries: Lebanon, Morocco, Tunisia, and Turkey. So the whole idea here is that we need to keep or maintain biodiversity hotspots. So that means that we need to keep areas where we can maintain with less resources hotspots so that we can keep biodiversity. We can be there for threatened species or species that are going towards extinction. We have to be mindful of that. And the reason for that is that in those countries, drought, extreme heat waves, or fires have affected the environment. So what we can do indeed is we can do seedlings from plants that are indigenous to the area, and then accelerate the reforestation, or the let's see, there's a word for that in science. It's the succession. So when we have, for example, a forest fire, then the seeds are starting new plants, and then eventually we go from small plants to medium brushes to mature forests over, I don't know, 80 or 100 years. However, if we are doing seedlings, we can actually accelerate this succession so that we can, first of all, reintegrate an ecosystem with native plants, but also maximize the biodiversity so that we can minimize the situation where some of the species are threatened or going towards extinction. So this is a fun project here about forest. The next project is in Pakistan. It's called Living Indus. So here it is an effort to protect communities and civil societies to restore and protect Pakistan's Indus Basin. So here is an example. So we can see here that it's fairly leveled area. So we have the water going through. However, very little plant will promote erosion. So here you can see the rows of little plants here. So they are putting new plants in the area to minimize the erosion, but also to improve the vegetation cover and to promote biodiversity in this place. So here is boosting biodiversity and climate mitigation and community resilience through nature. So here they've restored 1.3 million hectares. They're aiming for 25 million hectares. So here we need to focus a little bit. And here they mentioned they will need about $11 billion to work on this. So the whole idea here is that, is it possible that restoration can be done with less monetary resources and more willingness to do so? Now, this is Pakistan. I've never been there, and it's a beautiful country. Look at this. And I'm sure that they would need as much help as possible, especially if you think of seedlings. You need processes to make sure this works. So let's see what is the next project. The next one is Acción Andina. So this one here is a social movement to save the Andean forests. So here they say here that it's home of 1/6 of all plant life on the planet. Keep in mind the Andes, they start in Mexico, then they go all the way down towards the southern tip of South America. So here they want to protect critical ecosystems and also champion community-led restoration of nature. And here they are looking with the local people to make this happen. So here we have about 1% of the surface area, so 5,000 hectares out of 500,000 hectares. And here they are also looking for monetary compensation to do so. keeping in mind that if you have, let's say, if you have, for example, a place where people are cutting trees for agriculture, but the soil is poor, then the big question is that is deforestation the best thing in the long term? So here you need the money sometimes to pay for people that are in the area to support um, something that is, how can I say that can be worked long term. Now, there's a few projects here that they not necessarily talk about US dollars, so let's see. Here in Sri Lanka, we have mangrove regeneration in Sri Lanka. So here, the whole idea here is so mangroves are located, it's like a link between ocean and land. They are plants and trees that they live in water. They help in filtering waters, great place for ecosystems, for um, different organisms, but also they protect the sides, the shorelines of, here they mention tsunamis. Also, it helps with let's see, desertification indeed. And the whole idea here is that if they can take care of, I read something and I just so noticing that only 3% of the planted saplings survive. So planting sapling may be good as a restoration, but if you can maintain and stop degradation of the mangrove, that's probably the best way to do so. And there you go. And the plant starts regenerating naturally. So here what they mention is that they have 10,000 hectares of restored mangrove. To be restored as 10,000, they need some funding here as well. And here they have green jobs being done. So people to work in the mangrove, protect them, and make sure things are working well. Keeping in mind that these are jobs that we invest in ecosystems, but also for the future. Let's look at the next project. We have Terai Arc Landscape, that's in Nepal. And the whole idea here is to protect biodiversity hotspot here for specific animals. Here we mention, for example, tigers, rhinos, elephants, black bucks, buffaloes, crocodile, and birds. If you look at the first few animals, these are large mammal. That means they need space, they need food, and there's competition with human beings. So we have to make sure that we are protecting areas for them. So here they have restored areas. They're looking to restore even more until 2030. And here they need funding to make sure that this happens. Keeping in mind that sometimes it's easy to protect swamp areas or places where no humans are. But knowing that humans are going everywhere to make everybody everywhere their own place, there you go. We have to make sure that we have money sometimes to prevent humans to go from somewhere or to help with the humans to restore the areas. Gee, I have difficulties to speak right now. It happens. The next project is called Regreening Africa. So here we have several countries: Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya. We have Mali, le Niger, voilà, Rwanda, Senegal, and Somalia. So the whole idea here in the issue is that we have desertification. So one of the issue with desertification due to increase in temperature is that when the plants goes, or if we cut trees, what happens is that the topsoil will fly away through with the wind, and therefore it's a vicious circle, and desertification increases and desert expands. So at some point we need to find ways to stop or halt the expansion of deserts, and therefore we need to be able to restore ecosystems to do so. So small brushes, plants, and the big thing here is how can we do what we need to do and make sure that there's enough water for it, or find ways to gather water in some places for plants. So there you go. And this again is to boost biodiversity and support local economies and communities. The last project I want to share is about African farmers transforming food systems. So here it is to work with tens of thousands of farmers living in poverty on degraded land. And the degraded land comes from either unsustainable agriculture practices, deforestation, pollution, and climate change. And the whole idea here is that humans, we live, we want to survive, we want to get more. So what happened is there are ways that we can share ideas internationally on how to improve best practices in agriculture, in forestry, and also how we deal with our resources. It's all part of this. And here we have African farmers transforming food system, but the same thing happened in Canada, where we have to make sure that we can take care of how much fertilizers we use, how much we are cutting trees for new homes. And what happened is that sometimes we have surge waters when we have storms. Lots of things are happening, so we have to make sure that we are there for everybody, keeping in mind that often cities are expanding on amazingly fertile soil. So that's something we need to look into. And these are the topics I wanted to talk to you about today. Talking about the environment, knowing that I have a March break right now, so I have time to drive around, to walk around and appreciate the environment. If it happens, you have an idea for a project. It could be at your school to plant a tree, or making sure that we can add some bushes here and there so that we can have a greener playing area. So that's something you could do. Or if you walk in your city and you have sometimes empty lots with sometimes waste, garbage, is it something that you can clean so that you can bring some more green areas to where you live? These are all great options. On this, I'm going to wish you a wonderful day. This is my video for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have any comments, put them in the comments below. If you have any questions or suggestions of projects, either for you or for the audience, please do so. We're always here to learn from each other. On this, I'm going to put the link here to another video related to science. I'll see you there. Take care.